You must be tired of MMA fighters stepping into the boxing ring to prove an impossible point.
I mean, listen, the crossover, you know how I feel about crossovers into boxing, and that's how they end.
It was exciting the first time with McGregor and Mayweather, but it turned out to be a one-way street most of the time. As Dana White says, that's just how they end.
Was very tired at this point. Mayweather was raining right hands on him. MMA fans know that from watching him perform in the octagon.
We've heard the phrase, why doesn't any boxer have the courage to step into the octagon too many times? But what if we told you that in 2010, one man was confident enough to do just that? MMA differs greatly from boxing, but they have one point in common. One hit can change everything. James Toney had a record of 72 wins, 6 losses and 45 knockouts in his boxing career. That's where his nickname, Lights Out, came from. Over 2 decades, he became a decorated world champion with multiple belts competing in 4 weight divisions. In addition to become one of the most dangerous men to walk the earth during that time, he had something that today's boxers lack: guts of a lion. Lethal and self-confident, Toney decided to do what few dared: challenge the UFC fighter to a cage fighting match. He was a man who personally chose the fight, chasing Dana White for years to make it happen. He was confident he would convince the world what a real fight meant. He was confident that he would connect his fist to the opponent's chin. He was confident enough to believe it would be all over soon.
I'm the best, period.
The man on his hit list was the first ever UFC Hall of Famer and former 2-division champion, Randy the Natural Couture. Randy honed his craft through the fiery days of the first UFC competitions, competing worldwide. From America to Japan, his record of 18 wins and 10 defeats was full of elite MMA names, and his achievements in this sport were too many. Although he had been knocked out before, the Natural had never before faced the devastating power of a boxer. Randy decided to test it. Consequently, he put his chin and reputation on the line, accepting a duel against Toney, a fight in which he had more to lose than to gain.
I'm like, I'm in. I'll sign up for that. Let's go.
The one-sided trash talk was an added treat for the bloodthirsty fans, but Toney wasn't just doing it for promotion. He was confident in his victory and nuclear power in his fists. James' message to his opponent was, if you're afraid to come to my yard, I'll come to yours. On the other hand, Couture's weapons were patience, a smile, and spitting facts. He wasn't afraid to throw in a verbal threat, saying it would be interesting to see how much Toney would talk when he was on his back, with the UFC champion on top of him. But as in all situations, words are one thing, and when the cage closes, it's different. When the cage closes, the fight begins. August 28, 2010, Boston, Massachusetts. It was the time and place when it all went down. James and Randy finally stood in the middle of the battlefield facing each other, with menacing looks and referee Mario Yamasaki in the middle. When the fight finally began, the distance between the fighters was much bigger than we were used to. Toney expected a takedown from the D1 wrestler and Couture a powerful punch from the boxer. The tension was evident. However, one had to break the ice, and after 15 seconds, Randy was the man to do it. Boom! Takedown. Full mount position and ground and pound. Randy climbed on top of him and brought a rain of punishment for over a minute. Poor James had no answer to the force that Couture showed from a dominant position. He patiently dragged him to the cage fence, isolated his left arm, and put him in an arm triangle choke that was deeper than Dana White's wallet in 2025. A tap was expected, but the show didn't end there. The Natural let him go, only to continue punishing him with punches, completely knocking out the idea that boxers can succeed in the cage.
James Toney.
After completely softening him up with hits, he wrapped himself around his head again and made the overconfident boxer tap out. It was as many expected it to be. One punch could have solved everything. It could have happened. Of course, Randy immediately received his BJJ black belt after the bout, and James earned the respect of Couture and MMA fans. James Toney became known as the first boxer to dare to enter the MMA cage.
Yeah, he's the only real world champion boxer that ever fought in mixed martial arts in the UFC.